Hello my crochet friends, this is Sarah from Ned and Mimi, and in this video we are going to learn how to crochet the Bria button cowl. So this cowl scarf is super cozy and it wraps up nice and snug near the neck, so it's perfect for autumn and winter. And the pattern just requires knowledge of basic crochet stitches. So once you can do a single crochet and a double crochet, this will be absolutely no bother to you. So before we get started, let's just take a look at the supplies that we are going to need to make this scarf. So first of all, you will need a worsted weight yarn. So I used Line Brand Heartland in the colourway Mammoth Cave, but any worsted weight yarn in an acrylic or acrylic and wool blend would work absolutely great. So you will need approximately 370 yards for one scarf, give or take a little bit depending on the yarn that you use. Then I used a 6mm crochet hook, and this is a special interchangeable hook that you can attach a cable to the end, but for this pattern I just used it as a regular crochet hook. Then you will need 2 buttons, approximately 1 inch in diameter, and then finally a couple of stitch markers and a yarn needle to weave in those ends. And of course you will need the pattern for the scarf, which I have linked below. So let's get started. So we are going to start with a slip knot and then chain 83. Okay, so I have finished my starting chain and I'm going to get straight into row 1. So for this row, I'm going to work into the back loop, let's call it, of the starting chain. So I'm going to skip the first chain and then I'm going to make a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. So now I'm going to skip the next chain and then I'm going to work a single crochet in the next chain. So skip 1, single crochet, and now I'm going to work back over the single crochet that I just made into this skipped chain here. So it might be a little tricky to see it just for the first couple of times that you work this repeat, but once you get used to it, it's much easier. So I'll yarn over, going to insert my hook into that skipped chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I'm sort of enclosing that single crochet in this crossed double crochet and finish the stitch. So again, let's skip the next chain, a single crochet in the next one. And again, working back over the stitch that I just made into this skipped chain. And finish off the crossed double crochet. So we're just going to repeat those 2 stitches all the way along the chain. So a single crochet followed by a double crochet in the skipped chain. So I'm just going to continue on with that and I will come back into the video to show you how to finish off this first row. Alright, so I'm almost at the end of my chain. I just have 3 chains left to work into, so I'm going to finish up the row with my single crochet and another crossed double crochet, and then finally a half double crochet in that last chain. Alright, so that is the first row done. So for row 2, we are just going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to half double crochet in the first stitch, skip the next stitch, single crochet, and then crossed double crochet back into that skipped stitch, again working around the single crochet. Okay, and that's literally going to be the pattern for the entire row. So just skip a stitch, single crochet, double crochet in the skip stitch, single crochet, and double crochet in the skipped stitch. And I will work that for the entire row, and then finish up again with a half double crochet in the last stitch. Alrighty, so I'm just at the end of this second row and I have one stitch left to work into, so I'm just going to finish off with a half double crochet. And that's it. We're just going to repeat that row 2 for the entire section of the scarf, and then I will come back into the video to show you how to work the trim at the top and at the sides. Okay, so I have finished working my 24 rows of the main body pattern, and now I'm ready to move on to the trim. So the trim is very easy. We're going to work across the top here, turn the corner and then down the sides and then back again. So it's going to be a simple single crochet trim, and as we're working on this left side here, we're going to add the buttonholes. So one will be in the corner and one will be down about here. Okay, so let's get right into that. So we just need to chain 1 and then single crochet all the way along, and I will stop at the very end of this row just to show you how we're going to turn the corner. Okay, so I have just reached the end of the top row here, and to turn the corner I'm just going to work a single crochet, a half double crochet and then another single crochet in that final stitch, and that should bring me nicely around to the side edge here. So for the rest of this row I am just going to single crochet as evenly as I can down along the edge here. So this is definitely more of an art than a science. And when I'm working into the edge of my work, I like to go through the edge stitches rather than working around them, because I just find that it gives less gaps that way. But just do whatever you're most comfortable with and go as evenly as you can. So I'm just going to continue on working along this edge. Alright, so I've just finished working along the edge of my work here and it's looking pretty good. So before I move on to the next row, I'm just going to mark the corner half double crochet here. And you don't absolutely have to do this, but I just find marking the corner stitch is a good idea, just so that I know exactly which one I need to work into when I get up to this corner. So let's move on with the next row. It's going to be very easy. We will just chain 1 and turn. It's another row of single crochet, except we're going to work it into the front loop. So that's this loop right here. Okay, so let's get working. So just single crochet in the front loop all the way along until we get to that corner stitch. And at the corner stitch, we're actually going to work into both loops. Alrighty, so here I am at my corner stitch. I'm just going to take out my stitch marker and I'm going to turn this corner in exactly the same way as I did with the previous one. So it's going to be a single crochet, a half double crochet and then a single crochet all into the same stitch. And let's just mark that corner stitch again. Okay, now the rest of the row is very easy. Just continue with our single crochet in the front loop. Okay, so I'm just at the very end of that second round, and now for the very last stitch I'm actually going to work my single crochet into both loops rather than just the front loop, and it's just going to give me a bit of a neater edge. Okay, so that's that row done. Now let's turn, chain one and turn for the third row of the trim, and this row is just going to be a row of single crochet and then the exact same corner stitches here. So a single crochet, a half double crochet and a single crochet all in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and just work that row, and then on row 4 we're going to be creating the buttonholes. So I will show you how to mark those out and how to create them. Alrighty, so I have just finished the third row, and I have also marked out where the buttonholes are going to be. So I'm looking at the right side here. I haven't turned my work yet, and one button is going to be in the corner, so the corner stitch is already marked, so that's pretty easy. And then the second buttonhole is going to be here, and I have marked out 19 stitches from the corner. So starting here at the first stitch from the corner and counting 19 down to here. So let's go ahead now and begin row 4, and we will create the buttonholes. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I am going to single crochet in the front loop, so this is the same as row 2, until I have 1 stitch left before the marked stitch. So single crochet in the front loop. Okay, so I just have 1 stitch left here before the marked stitch, and I'm actually going to single crochet in both loops through this stitch, just because I want my stitches on either side of the buttonhole to be pretty sturdy. So I'll remove my stitch marker, and then I'm going to chain 2, skip these 2 stitches, and then single crochet through both loops of the next stitch. And then for the rest of this row I will just continue on working in the front loop until I come to the second marked stitch, so the corner stitch. Alright, so here I am. I have 1 stitch left before the corner stitch, so again I'm going to single crochet through both loops at this stitch. Then I will remove my stitch marker, and here I'm going to chain 3 and then just skip that corner stitch. So I'm turning the corner with my chain 3, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so that's the buttonhole created there just by skipping that corner stitch. And now for the remainder of the row we're just going to single crochet in the front loop all the way along. Alrighty, so that is row 4 done. We have created our buttonholes, so let's just go straight into row 5. So we will chain 1 and turn. And before I start this row, I'm just going to show you the buttonholes again. So this is where the first one is in the corner, and this is the second one. So we're going to single crochet all the way along until we come to this buttonhole, and then we're going to work our single crochet half double single in this chain 3 space, and then once we come to the second buttonhole we are going to work 2 single crochets into that chain 2 space. So I will go ahead and start this row, and then I will just pause to show you how I work into the chain spaces. Alrighty, so here I am at the corner and my first buttonhole, and I'm just going to work into that chain 3 space. So a single crochet, a half double and a single again. And that will give us a gently rounded corner and our buttonhole. So let's just keep single crocheting along to the next buttonhole. So at the second buttonhole I have a chain 2 space, so I'm just going to work 2 single crochets into that space and then continue on single crocheting all the way to the end of the row. Okay, so we've got to the end of that row. So I have worked 5 rows of the trim already, and there are 2 more rows to go. And the good news is that these 2 are very easy. So the next row is just going to be the single crochet through the front loop, exactly as we did for row 2, except for working our 3 stitches in the corner. And then the very last row is going to simply be single crochet all the way along and working the exact same turn for the corner with the 3 stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and work those final 2 rows now, and then I will come back into the video to sew on the buttons and show you how to wear this scarf. Alrighty, so I have finished working the trim and I just have a few more things to do. I have a couple of ends to weave in down here, and I also have to sew on my buttons. So what I have done is marked out the position of my 2 buttons to line up with the buttonholes that we created earlier. So for reference, the corner button will be about 1 inch from the right edge and 1 inch from the bottom edge, and the second buttonhole will be about 7 inches from the right edge and again 1 inch from the bottom. So I am going to get on now with sewing my buttons, and then I will come back into the video to show you how to wear your scarf. So let's have a look at how we are going to wear this scarf. So in this hand I have my 2 buttonholes, and then down here in the opposite corner I have my 2 buttons. So I'm just going to put my thumb through the top buttonhole and then put it around my neck, and then I'm going to take the side of the buttons, I'm going to tuck it up onto my shoulder here, and we have the buttons going in a diagonal line along the front. So then I'm going to take the corner buttonhole and put the top button through that, and then take the second buttonhole and put the corner button through that, so it goes to the opposite one. And that's it, just twist it around a little bit, the button up my shoulder, rearrange the neckline, and there we have it.